Also, he kept a lot of pressure on. It would have been smart for me to add a third or even a fourth spine crawler. There was no reason for me not to. You saw at the end I had extra money. So
Yeah, you do, yeah.
those extra spines would have made big differences.
Cool.
So anyway, so we've got about 20 minutes. Would you like to go one more time against the Ling Bei?
I can do. You told me through it.
Yep.
We've got time for questions at the end, though, yeah? So if it gets...
Yeah,
like
yep.
10 minutes,
If it
tap
turns
out.
into a long game, we'll just tap out.
Exactly. Just tell me, just walk me through it step by step. Hold my hand for once.
I'll do it.
Wicked, thanks.
Alright, so you're going to play this time.
Mm-hmm. I suppose if you missed your 17 overlord, you're kind of fucked.
That would hurt.
Closer.
Yep. You're happy to see this because you get to see everything he's up to.
Big
You can
base house.
expand whenever you want. What kind of keyboard you got, Joel?
I've got a DAS keyboard.
What?
Wow. A DAS keyboard?
What the hell is that?
Not heard of it? It's mechanical. I think it's brown switches. It's noisy ones.
Browns. Awesome.
It's really good, actually. It's pretty new.
I have a Black Widow with blues.
Oh, yeah. The Razer, I'm going to say?
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep, yep.
I got a Razer mouse. That kind of helps. They're both new. Kind of like Christmas editions to improve my StarCraft.
Nice. So you see his pool there?
Yep, seen that.
You,
On the mini map.
you do not want to go gas first when you see this.
Yeah, I'm definitely not getting gas
Cool
first,
down.
don't worry.
You've gone up to
Too
16
good.
drones before putting your pool. That's kind of brave.
Oh. I was wondering why I had so much money.
Get that pool down. There you go. I still think you'll be all right though. But you're gonna be relying on lings more than spines for the first few minutes of the game.
It's a 17 overlord.
Hmm?
17 overlord, yeah.
Which is now.
Yeah. Green somewhere there. Oh god, this looking so ropey. So no gas at all, yeah.
Yeah. You're gonna want to start it soon though.
Fine. Well, what timing? Now?
Yeah. Now
18.
18, 19, 20. Alright, so transfer some drones, start the queen in the natural, lots and lots of zerglings, and then spine crawlers. Minimum of 1 up to 4. Make sure your rally points are set appropriately, and they are. Now you can even start a queen in your main.
You started the second one.
That's fine. You can do that as well. And your excuse me, your lings are the buffer between your spine crawlers and his zerglings.
Sure.
Now remember,
Loading gas?
he cannot ever have more lings than you. So you want to prevent him from just morphing banelings freely, if at all possible.
I can't really see him.
You don't see him? Okay, well now you do.
Oh, I see him
Alright,
now.
so those banes are probably going to finish soon, so I would not go running into that. You can't let him up your ramp, is the next part.
Oh.
Not the best trade, but you're actually okay. Get your second queen, inject and get her on the ramp. Get your first queen on the ramp. Make another spine crawler. And you could start a roach warren with your next set of cash. That is not a good spot for that spine crawler, but we'll let it go. I mean, he's just going to pop it. So put it on the far side of your hatchery. Again, that's basically the same position. Careful, lings! Oh, yes! Queens obviously want to be on hold position.
They definitely went to a hold position. So I just dragged them out to make it. Go away.
All right. So now you're kind of broke.
I was dead.
It's not good. And he's just gonna run into your base with a bunch of units, and you're gonna be in trouble. If you can block your ramp with your zerglings for the time being, you might be okay. But you know he is gonna make banelings. And this is the importance of the queens. They have to be on hold position on your ramps, that he doesn't just run up there and have a field day.
It was when I boxed my stuff to get rid of it, to like avoid those.
Yeah.
The Sunny Element, he's just really good.
Well, yeah, that of course is one of the very legitimate concerns. Is the player just outright better than us? Well, maybe. But
sure.
But still, with the build he's doing, you should be able to hold. Now he's just going to use the Banes to bust. This is actually a pretty good defense.
Oh, come on.
Now the last little point that I want to make is the point of the Sim City. If you could have kind of made a wall from your ramp to the side of your hatchery with a roach warren and an evo chamber, it would only take those two buildings. And he would not have been able to do that. He would have had to have gone all the way around and would have been taking kind of spine crawler fire the whole time.
I've seen you do that before.
Yeah.
So he's really good.
Yeah, he's a great player. Totally great. I don't want that to be an excuse. The excuse is we didn't do enough. You know, we were bad. We got outplayed. So, anyways, tap out the GG. That was the closest you've come to defending it as of yet, and I think you kind of see the direction you got to go to get it right.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Sure.
So you said you wanted to ask some questions.
Oh, I've got a few. You could put it that way. Okay.
Lay it on me.
So a couple like the ZVP. We do our normal stuff. So 14, 4, 16 hatch. And how do we respond to a 15 Nexus?
How do we respond to a 15 Nexus?
Yeah. So he just opens up 15 Nexus just straight up.
Have you watched our machine video where we talk about non-standard play?
Yeah.
He shows us a Hydra Drop build in that video.
He did, yeah, he did. Just go do that. He said Forge builds, didn't he?
Yeah, but the point stands. Hydra Drop is a hard counter to that to that kind of a build. So be wary of that.
And I've seen a 17 Nexus twice recently. Is that just laziness, or is there any viability in that build? And is it the same counter sort of thing? Or?
I can't imagine 17 Nexus ever being good, so do the same thing. I mean, like, those Nexus first builds are super greedy, and
it did seem that way.
And if you put like a little pressure on the front with the 6 lings, he's probably going to make cannons. And he's going to kind of centralize his defense at the front. And,
yeah, so then just Hydra Drop.
And then Hydra Drop right behind it.
Cool. When you're aiming for Overlord speed in ZVP, or
you know, I don't have an ironclad super good timing to tell you when to get Overlord speed. I just want you to know that it needs to be one of the first things you spend gas on after your layer finishes. It's very important.
Yeah, okay. And do you think you should spread out Overlords before you get that speed? Because obviously if he's out on the map, he just picks them
Overlords
off.
need to be spreading out constantly in ZVP. In ZVT it's a little harder to spread them out without speed. So you can kind of allow them to sort of cluster up a little bit in ZVT, but you still need to be using them to give you full vision of the entire perimeter of your base and as much of the map that you can cover without exposing them to Marines.
Okay, cool. And then I've got, how many drones do you ultimately aim for in ZVP and ZVT? Like, just
ultimately, I'm always between 70 and 80.
So 70
That's your ultimate goal. Yeah, 70 to 80, and with up to as much as 85 in ZVP sometimes. I think 85 is a little bit too much.
Why would you do that? Doesn't that weaken your max?
Yes,
So that
it does. It does. But if you weaken your max in return for the ability to remax constantly, always, no matter what, then it's a trade that we're willing to make.
Cool.
As in regards to drones, though, another very important number for you to remember is 44.
44.
That's your 2-base saturation that you want when your layer finishes.
Cool. Okay, so when do you get your third queen in ZvP, if you're going to get it, and what makes you get it?
I don't always stick to this religiously, but in general, I think it's always a good idea to get a third queen immediately. Like, get your first queen, get your second queen, and then when your natural hatchery finishes, start your third queen.
Okay, cool.
Because it lets you spread creep. It gives you some sort of auto defense against things like banshees and void rays, and they're just good to have, as we saw last night with Chef.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, and so I have seen a fair bit of this early Immortal push. So I've seen a couple of people expand. So 3 will get expand, and then I'm like, well, I've got time to drone, and I start my roach production, and they push with like 4 Immortals and quite a few Stalkers having cut probes to do it. I've seen it twice. It's killed me twice.
This is kind of a new thing that Protoss players are doing. As Zerg players have grown more and more fond of heavy roach plays, TOS players have grown smart to it, and they're starting to work in these Stalker, Immortal, Sentry builds that kind of hit in the early stages of the mid game. This is why we always get that Hydra Den regardless. You don't have to make Hydras, but you still want that Hydra Den to be built around the time that you take your your third and fourth gas. The Hydras allow us to really compete with that Immortal army, and if we're scouting adequately, we'll see that he's going for a 4 Immortal Stalker push, and you can have 12, 16 Hydras ready, and 12 or 16 Hydras behind a wall of roaches are scary.
Yeah, they are indeed. Okay, so I think an infestation pit you used to say goes down at the same time as Spire, didn't you?
That's my rule. I don't know how the other guys play it. I'm not sure what kind of timings. Well, actually, that's not true. I know how Machine does it. Machine tries, and I couldn't tell you the way this works out in game, but he tries to line up the timing so that the infestation finishes. So the hive finishes the instant plus 2 attack finishes. So that's a fairly early infestation pit. I think putting it down when you place your Spire, I just think that's a really good mental note to make for yourself, because your ultimate goal in ZvP always wants to be Broodlords. And, what do you associate with Broodlords? Well, Spire and Hive. So how you get Hive, infestation pit. So there you go.
Okay, so moving on to the next matchup, ZvT. 1 base stim timing. Oh my god.
1 base stim timing, oh my god.
How do you do it? Just run me through. So you see he has an XP 2 racks. So you're expecting it. And he hasn't expanded behind it.
Well, if he's sitting on 1 base, you apply the same logic that you apply to these ZvZs we just played. He cannot win the game unless he expands. So you just make units until he expands.
Okay, cool. So that's what I got to do.
Yeah, and as kind of an offshoot of that, if you want to continue droning, you can, but just you have to make a spine crawler for like every 3 drones. So
a spine crawler for every 3 drones. Okay, cool. I think I may just build units in future. I was trying to sneak out drones and just overwhelm him with ultras on his push or something like that. But
overwhelm him with ultras. If you have enough time to tech the Hive against a 1 base Terran, then you should never.
I'm only kidding around. So I know I've seen your Infestor play, which looks really, really good. It's really, really good. It's really pretty, and you just seem to kill all these Marines. You never lose anything. I know you say Mutaling Bane's more fragile, but I was under the impression if I get my Infestors in the wrong place, then I just die. They just die to 1 tank shot or something.
Well, it takes more than a tank shot. Obviously, if you're going Infestor and you lose your Infestors, you're going to lose. I mean, that's that's the way it goes. If you're going Mutaling Bane and you lose your Mutas, well, the same rule applies.
Yeah.
In both cases, the Muta is the backbone of the Mutaling Bane army. Infestor is clearly the backbone of the Infestor-Ling army. Without the Infestor, we can't dictate anything. He gets to pick and choose the terms of every engagement. With the Infestor, if he's attacking us and we don't want him to, we just say, I'm going to fungal you, and you're going to just sit tight for a little while until I'm ready.
Cool.
So yeah, of course. Are Infestors fragile units? Sure they are. But the beauty of the Infestor army is that the Infestors should always be a buffer